Hello, Patriots. Today we are going to work with stem and leaf plots. So at the top of your 2-column notes, if you would write stem and leaf plots, divide my paper. With stem and leaf plots, our concept is about the relationship of numbers. We know that data can be represented in many different ways. We know that graphing helps interpret data easier and quicker while drawing conclusions. So today we are going to work with stem and leaf plots, and we'll work, our ICANN statements will be with 2 teaks. The first teak is going to be 4.9a, and we can say I can represent data by creating a stem and leaf plot marked with whole numbers. We're also going to work with teak 4.9b, and that says I can solve problems using data in a stem plot, or stem and leaf plot. Push pause. So I am sure you're asking yourself, Ms. Weaver, what is a stem and leaf plot? So we are going to write the definition of stem and leaf plot. A stem and leaf plot is a graph that displays a set of data arranged by place value. We know what place value is. We worked a lot this year on place value. The stem are digits in the highest place value, while the leaves are the smallest place value. Let's push pause so you can write your notes. Some examples of how we use graphs are scores on sports teams, temperature over time, rainfall over time. Today, we're going to use a stem and leaf plot for our classroom scores, for our math benchmark. So at the top, we are going to write our set of data. It's for our week 27 math benchmark scores. And this is our set of data. We have an 80, an 87, a 90, a 90, an 87, 93, 83, 93, 70, 90, 73, 93, 93, 63, 90, 90, 67, 100, 83, 90, 77, and 70. I'll push pause so you can get your data down. Okay, when I look at all those numbers, that's what they look like, a bunch of numbers. So what we're going to do is to begin to organize our numbers. So on the left side of our 2-column notes, we're going to write step 1. We're going to go through the steps of creating a step and leaf plot. We are going to group and list the data by the tens digits. And so we will do this. We are going to look at our first number, and our first number is 80. So if I have 80s, let's find all the 80s. I have an 80. I have an 87. I have another 87. An 83. Another 83. And I believe that's it for the 80s. My next tens digit I see are 90s, so I'm going to write 90 here. And I have 190, so I need to write that. And I have another 90, so I need to write that. And I see two 93s here, 93, 93. I have another 90 here on the second row, two more 93s, 93, 93, 90 and 90, 90 and 90, and one more 90 on this third row. My next tens value I see is a 70, so let's write our 70 down. And then we have a 73. And on the last we have 77 and 70. Let's see, what else do we have? What tens digits? Oh, I see 60s, so we are going to write in the 60s place value. We have a 63. And we have a 67. And let's see, what do we have? Any 50s? No 50s. We have one 100. So in the 100 place value, or then we have a 100, one 100. So that's how we are grouping by tens. That's the very first step 1. Push pause to make sure you have your notes. Okay, let's move on to step 2. Step 2. We are going to order the tens digits from least to greatest. And blooper, order the ones digits least to greatest. Push pause. Well, what do I mean by that? If I look at my numbers that I set out up here, I have the 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, 100. I want to put them in order. So the least tens are the 60s, so that's going to go first. And then I have the 70s, and then next would be 80s, 90s, 100s. And then I need to look. In my 60s, I have two scores. One is a 63, and the other is a 67. So we have finished that. And then I look in the 70s. And you want to put the ones also from least to greatest. So I see a 70, a 73, a 77, and a 70. My least number is 70, and I have two of them, so you want to write those both down first. 70, 70. And then I see a 73 and a 77. So now I see that I have that written down in order. If I go to my 80s, I see the smallest 80s is, in fact, an 80. And then I see I have two 83s. 1, 2, so I'm going to write 83 twice. And then I see I have two 87s, so I need to write those two 87 scores down. And I have taken care of all the benchmark scores in the 80s. Now I go to the 90s. And let's count how many 90s I have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to write 96 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my next 90 scores are 93. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I need to write 93. 1, 2, 3, 4. That takes care of my scores in the 90s. Oops. And now what is left is 100, and I have one of those, so I will write 100. I want you to push pause to get down your notes and take a look at the data and make sure you understand why we wrote it the way we did. Okay, now we are going to go to step 3. So on the left side of your 2-column notes, we have step 3. We are going to create our stem and leaf. Plot. And we are going to first write the value of the tens digit. We are going to then draw a vertical line. Then we are going to step 3, well, the third part of step 3 is to write the value of the ones digit in order from least to greatest. Push pause. Okay, so we are going to write the value of the tens digit. That's what it says to do. So we know that we have the value of our first tens digit is 6. We have a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10. And then it says to draw a vertical line. So I'm going to draw my vertical line. And then we're going to write the value. Let's look over here. This is what it says. We wrote the value of the tens digit. And then we drew our vertical line. And now we are going to write the value of the ones digit in order from least to greatest. So let's do that. If we look at our data, by the 6 tens, we had 63 and 67. Well, on the left, this is our value of our tens, 60. If we have a 63, then our ones would be a 3. And if we have a 67, the other one would be a 7. If we look at this value of the digits in the 70s, so here's our 70s, we have a 70. So our 10 is a 7, our 1 is a 0. The second one is a 70 also, so we have 7 10s, 0 ones. Our third 70 was a 73, so we have 7 10s, 3 ones. And then our fourth 70 is 7 10s, 7 ones. Let's look at the scores in the 80s. We have 180, so we have 8 10s, 0 ones. We have 2 83s, so here's 8 10s, 3 ones. 8 10s and 3 ones makes up 83. And we have 2 87s, so here's our 8 10s, 7 ones, and another 8 10s, 7 ones. Are you seeing how we do this? Are you seeing a pattern? If I look at scores in the 90s, we showed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores that were 90. So we have 9 10s, 0 ones 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. We also had 4 93s. So 93 is 9 10s and 3 ones 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And then we had 1 100. 1 100 is, we have 10 here, right? And this would be a 0 because 100 is 10 10s and 0 ones. Push pause to make sure your data is down. The last step is step 4. And step 4 says to include a title and labels. Otherwise, we don't know what our stem and leaf plot is about. So this stem and leaf plot is about our week 27 math benchmark scores. And the left column is our stem, and our right column is the leaf. Push pause. Okay, now that we actually were able to create a stem and leaf plot from our benchmark scores, let's use this. How can we use it? Well, let's look at some questions we might be able to answer, or what conclusions can we draw from this stem and leaf plot. Well, first of all, I can say, just by looking at this stem and leaf plot, some conclusions. Is, or are, my lowest scores were in the 60s, and then my highest were what? Of course, my highest was a 100. That's one piece of data that I can gather just from this, quickly from this stem and leaf plot. I could also conclude, based on looking at the stem and leaf plot, that several students scored in which place value? In the 90s. So I could also conclude that several students scored in the 90s. I could also count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm thinking if I have 22 students in this class and 10 of them scored in their 90s, almost half of my class scored in the 90s. I could also look that as a teacher I would say, I need to revisit the students that scored in the 60s for sure, and also those in the 70s. And I have, if I count those, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students who scored in the 60s and 70s. I could also count how many students made A's or B's. Well, we know that A's are 90s and 100s and B's are 80s. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 students scored A's or B's. So boys and girls, were we able to represent the data in a stem and leaf plot? Yes, we were. We did that right here. This is going back to our I can statements. And were we able to solve problems and draw conclusions? And we did so here. So I would say that we did what we wanted to do in our stem and leaf I can statements. Before we conclude our video, I want us to look at our stem and leaf plot. And we know that we have students that scored in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and also a 100. When you write your stems, you want to make sure you include the 10s, the lowest 10, and the highest 10. For example, we had no 50, so I would not include a stem of 5. Also, you need to know, and this is important, that if, for example, we had no 70s in our scores, we had 60s, 80s, 90s, and 100. We would include the 7 in our stem because it's in the middle of our 10s, but we would write no leaf. And that would indicate to us that there were no scores in the 70s. Okay, Patriots, we will work and practice in class. Have a great night.